Hello, grade 6 students. This is day 20 of STP Mathematics 1A lesson series. After a long time, we are going to have video sessions. Today, I am planning to explain you a new topic. I know some of you were struggling with the BODMAS. Don't worry about it because those kind of complicated questions which I discuss with you will not be there for the formative assessment. Those kind of questions will be there for your semester exams. By that time, we can discuss more questions with the past papers. So today I'm planning to start the lesson with a new topic. You can write down the new topic, take your theory books and write down the new topic with the pink color. You can write it as factors, multiples, right? Multiples, and prime numbers, right? Prime numbers. I will explain you these one by one. First, you write down, you put the date and write down the main topic first of all. Then we will learn about the prime numbers. So what are prime numbers? I will type and write you. The prime numbers are the numbers which you can divide only by 1 and itself. The numbers, what happened? Yeah. The numbers which you can divide only by 1 and itself. So first that you can't understand what I'm talking, but I will show you it with an example, then you will realize this. So then the examples for the prime numbers, first we will write down the whole note, then I will explain you. Example 2, 3, 5, 7, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, it's going on, right? And 1 is not a prime number, okay? 2 is the only even number in the prime number list, right? Prime number list. These things you want to understand. So then I will show you that how we can learn this with the example. Now, if you look at these children, now I told you that 2 I can divide by 1 and itself. If I divide it by 1, the answer is 2. If I divide it by itself, the answer is 1. Then I take 3. I can divide 3 by 1 and 3 by itself. The answer here it is 3 and the answer here it is 1. If I take 5, 5 I can divide by 1 and 5 I can, what happened? Something happened. Yeah, 5 I can divide by itself. So here the answer is 5 and here the answer is 1. I take 7, that you just see 7 I can divide by 1, 7 I can divide by 7. Here the answer is 7, here the answer is 1. Now you can see all the prime numbers, I can divide them by 1 and itself, that's it. I don't have any other number to divide. But if I take 4, you just see 4 I can divide by 1. 4 I can divide by itself. Like all the other examples, I can divide 4 also by 1 and itself. But earlier examples, those are the only two options you had. Divide by 1 and divide by itself. Those are the only options you have, that you don't have any other number to divide them. But here when you take 4, you have another number to divide. That 4 you can divide. If you take 6, what happens, children? That 6 you can divide by 1, 6 you can divide by 6, but 6 you can divide by 2, and 6 you can divide by 3. So that means now you can see why 4 and 6 are not prime numbers. You know that if it is not a prime, we call it a composite number, right? 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, these are prime numbers. Why? You can divide those numbers only by 1 and itself, right? Always that when you divide, that you get the answer, the same number and 1, same number and 1. But if you look at the other numbers, that means the composite numbers, or else that the numbers which are not prime, you can divide them also by 1 and itself. But in addition to that, at least you have another number to divide that particular number, if it is a composite number. But if it is a prime number, you have only 1 and itself to divide, right? You don't have any other option. With the composite numbers or the numbers which are not prime, you can divide them by 1 and itself like the prime numbers, but you have at least one more number to divide this particular number, right? So then I said that the 1 is not a prime number. I will show you why is that. When you take 1, 1 divide by 1 and 1 divide by itself. That can you see any difference here that when I'm doing this? To be a prime number, the eligibility requirement is it should be divided by 1 and it should be divided by itself. That's the eligibility requirement to be a prime number out of all the other numbers. But here that when you check that eligibility, what happened that 1 is divided by 1 and 1 is divided by itself, that straight away when you look at that, you can see the same thing. So then no difference. So then it is not a prime number. No point that you are showing it like this, no point that it shows that the same thing, right? But here that you can see that the two different things, it divides by 1 and it divides by itself, divide by 1 and itself, right? So those are prime numbers. And these numbers are not prime, they call the composite numbers. Why we call them the composite numbers? Because we can divide these numbers by 1 and itself. In addition to that, at least there is another number. There is one more number, maybe that 2 or 3. At least one more number is there to divide this particular number. If that's the case, those numbers are not the prime numbers. Those numbers are composite numbers, right? Okay. With that knowledge, now you know that when I'm giving the note like this, when you want to copy down it, you pause the video and copy down it. Then the next one, I want to explain you the factors, right? The next subtopic, we want to discuss the factors. Okay. Factors. Okay. So what does this mean? If you want to have 12, what are the ways you can have 12 children? 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. Then I have 4 times 3, but I don't write. There's no point of writing 4 times 3. Already I have written 3 times 4. So then how I'm going to write that the factors of 12, I open a curly bracket like this and start from the lowest one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 12. And I close the curly bracket. Then if I ask you to write prime factors of 12, how do you write out of the above factors? What are the prime numbers? 2 and 3. So then they are prime factors. Out of these numbers, if I ask what are the prime numbers 2 and 3, no. So then out of those factor numbers of the factors, which are prime factors, 2 and 3, right? So then if you are asked to write factors of 12, you open the curly brackets like this and you list down them with the comma from the beginning. That 1 times 12, that you write 1. 2 times 6, you write 2. And 3 times 4, you write 3. Likewise, you list down them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Another way you can have the question, children, they will ask you to write 12 as a product of its prime factors. Sorry, its factors. Its factors, right? So first we will take its factors as a product. How do you write this? If I ask you to write this question, the answer, right? The different students in the classroom, they take different ways. That one child might write 1 times 12, the answer is 12. Then the next child will take 2 times 6, the answer is 12. The next child will write 3 times 4, the answer is 12. So then different students, they might select that one of these 3 answers, and that we can't say that that is wrong, that all these 3 answers are correct. But by any chance, if they have mentioned something like this, let's say in the question, then you want to write 12 as a product of its prime factors, that is different. How do you get this kind of thing, children? You take 12 and you start divide by, now earlier we identified the prime factors of 12. No? The first you want to list down the factors of 12, right? Like this, that you can draw a tree like this and you can list down and you just think that what are the ways you can have 12, 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4, 4 times 3, yes, but it is not taken because already we have taken 3 times 4. No? So then we list down the numbers. Out of those numbers, you pick the prime numbers or the prime factors. What you do, children, here, when you want to write 12 as a product of its prime factors, you select this 12 and divide by 2, right? You divide it by 2. 2 times 6. Again, that you can divide this by 2 because 6 is divisible, 3. Then 3 you can't divide this by 2, therefore I start divide by 3 and it is 1. Therefore, that I can write 12 is equal to 2 times 3. Now you can see, children, if I ask you to write 12 as a product of its factors, you have 3 answers. But if I ask you to write 12 as a product of its prime factors, you all of you have the same answer. 2 times 3. 2 times 2, 4. 4 times 3, 12. That is how it takes. So, but different teachers and the different textbooks, they might explain this in a different way. But for me, this method is easier, right? So first you list down that what are the factors of 12. Then you write prime factors of 12. Then we write 12 as a product of its factors. And we write 12 as product of its prime factors, right? That is how we write. Then I will take another one. For an example, let's say I take 24. Okay. Then I want to do the same 4 steps for this number too. In 24, first what I do, I take the ways of taking 24. 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, 4 times 6, right? Then I write factors of 24. Then I open the curly bracket. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, 24. Right? Then you close the bracket. Then we write prime factors of 24. Then we write prime factors of 24. Out of the above numbers, what you can identify as the prime factors? Only 2 and 3. Okay? Only 2 and 3. Right? Then the next question we can have 24 as a product of its factors. How we are going to write it? That the 24 you can write 1 times 24. Another child might write 2 times 12. Then the next child will write 3 times 8. And then the next number will write 24 as 4 times 6. Right? So then the next question type you can write 24 as a product of its prime factors. Can you remember what we are supposed to do when you have this kind of question, children? You divide that, you identify the prime factors of 24, it is 2 and 3, no? So then what you do, you start divide 24 by 2. 2 times 12, again you divide 2 times 6, then 2 times 3, then 3 times 1. So then you can write, this is the only option all of you have, 2 times 2 times 2 times 3, then 2 times 2, 4, 4 times 2 times 3. No, that you don't want to show all these things, otherwise it will be confusing, right? So you can multiply and get the answer. 2 times 2, 4, 4 times 2, 8, 8 times 3, 24, right? So then here we discuss a few areas. First we discuss what are prime numbers and what are composite numbers. Why one is not a prime number, and why that 2 is the only even number in the prime number list. We discuss all these things, and I showed you this is how they become the prime numbers, and this is how they don't become the prime numbers. And then we discuss about the factors. When you have a particular number, the way you can have that number multiplying different numbers, we call the factors, right? If you take the example 12, that 1 times 12 is 12, right? Then 2 times 6, it is 12, right? Then 3 times 4. Likewise, you have options to get the 12. Once you are done with this three kind of the diagram, you list down the factors of 12. How we are going to list down the factors of 12? Inside the curly bracket, you just write that 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 12 from the beginning, that this is the order. You start from this corner and you go like this and you go like this, right? So then this is the order, right? You list down the factors of 12. Out of these factors, you decide that which are prime, then you write down the prime factors of 12. Then another way of getting the question is that they ask you to write a particular number as a product of its factors. You just multiply these factor pairs in your tree diagram and you just show that 1 times 12 and 2 times 6 and 3 times 4. But if they have given you another question that write 12 as a product of its prime factors, always you want to divide this 12 or whatever the number they have given by the prime factors 2 and 3. 12 you divide by 2, it is 6. 6 you divide by 2, it is 3. 3 you divide by 3, it is 1. Then you can write down the product 2 times 2 times 3. So then from where you got that? 2 times 2 times to this part, right? You multiply them together, you get the answer. 2 times 2, 4, 4 times 3, 12. The same kind of question I did with the number 24. You can go through this and you pause the video and you understand that what I have done, right? So then here, yeah, like this. So then tomorrow, next week or the next video, we will discuss the highest common factor, multiples, and lowest common multiples. For this video, I'm planning to discuss only up to this level. Otherwise, that this will be longer. So then, please go through this, complete the note properly. And the next day, with the next video, I will discuss the highest common factor and the lowest common multiple together with the multiple knowledge. Okay, children, we'll meet again next day. Till then, stay safe. Bye.